My feel-good breakfast show.
It is your feel-good breakfast show. It's a Tuesday morning and it's so good to have you with us. Thanks for joining us. Now, according to the World Health Organization, glaucoma is the second highest cause of blindness after cataracts. It's also reported that while anyone has a 2.3% lifetime risk of developing glaucoma, those with a first-degree relative affected by the condition are 10 times more at risk. And here to help us unpack the symptoms during World Glaucoma Week and how glaucoma is diagnosed is, of course, our trusted medical professional, Dr. Darren Green. Signore, good to see you.
It's very matching the
Couch.
everything. It's working.
So your vision is intact.
Let's talk about glaucoma. Well, my family says glaucoma.
It's all good.
All good, same difference.
Good, yes.
What exactly is it?
Yeah, so it's basically a condition, a group of conditions that can cause blindness. And that's why it deserves the attention it's getting this week.
Yeah.
And it comes about as a result of increased pressure in the eye. And there are different reasons for that. But, you know, what people don't know is that the blood of the eyeball is actually a see-through kind of fluid called aqueous humor. And that's what circulates. It's manufactured at the front part of the eye from a little structure behind the iris, which is the color part of your eye, called the ciliary body. And that fluid then circulates in the front part of the eye, the anterior chamber, all the way through to the back, the posterior chamber, to nourish the eye, give it nutrients and moisturize it, etc., etc., etc. Very important. But that circulation of that fluid needs to be drained at times as well. So it gets made, manufactured, and then it circulates. We take what we need out of it, and then it kind of drains via a drain, like the shower drain, just outside the front part of the eye, you know, behind the iris. So interesting to note that there are different things that can cause blockage of the drain.
Wow.
And then the pressure builds up, like a tire, a bicycle tire. And then the area that's the weakest, obviously, will bulge. And now, in the human eye, the area that is the weakest is at the back of the eye where the optic nerve enters the eye. And that's why you can get blindness, because pressure on the optic nerve is what leads then to the loss of vision. And that's why it's an emergency condition, if it's the acute type that needs to be relieved quite quickly.
Yeah. So you've got this entire system and network of blood vessels transferring blood in your eye. What then results in the blockage that would then result in this pressure that causes this situation?
The direction that the fluid actually flows, that I mentioned, after it's being made by that ciliary body, which is behind the colorful part of your eye called the iris, it moves out almost like through the pupil area and then drains downwards into a shower drain, like I've explained. It's called a trabecular network, a mesh network. It looks like a mesh.
Yes.
And then the fluid has to obviously go through the mesh.
Yes.
Now, what can cause the angle, closed angle glaucoma, which is obviously the emergency one, to actually close, that fluid doesn't even reach the drain, are basically a few medical conditions. Sometimes it's the shape of the eyeball, it's your genetics. Sometimes it's age, over the age of 60. Sometimes it's because you're of African and Hispanic descent.
Wow.
And then also certain types of infections can also cause that anterior part of the eye to swell.
Why
and change.
Africans and Spaniards?
It's just the genetic, it's got to do with the shape and the contour of the eye. It's interesting, hey?
That's amazing.
Depending on where you come from in the world, there's certain things.
You're
And I
more
just
at
wonder
risk.
if we haven't adapted to some of the elements in nature, the shape and so forth. But anyway, so that you get the closed angle, which then prevents the drainage. The pressure then builds up of that aqueous humor. And the pressure is then relayed backwards into the eye, inside the eyeball, pressing on all the walls. And then obviously that causes then pressure on the optic nerve at the back of the eye, which enables us to see, because the electric signal has to reach the optic nerve first and then get transferred to the brain for interpretation. And that's what then is obviously impaired.
Wow.
Sure.
I love it.
That was a lot.
Fascinating stuff. All right, it is World Glaucoma Week, and also, so that's what we're focusing on right now. Dr. Darren Green is here to help us unpack it, understand the symptoms, so that you can be better enlightened on the condition. We'll be back again with the good doctor a little bit later on, but in the meantime, our lines are open, 021-430-9881. Give us a call with your questions.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
All right, welcome back to our Medical Tuesday chat with Dr. Darren Green. We're discussing glaucoma as a condition, given that it is World Glaucoma Week, and of course with the fact that anyone with a lot of us, all of us in fact, have a 2.3% lifetime risk of developing this condition. Our lines are also open on 02143098881, and we have a caller on the line. Rodney. Good morning, Rodney.
Good morning, Dr. Darren.
Yes, good morning.
Dr. Darren, my eyes are, I'm getting so red, my bro, man. And then my eyes keep on, hoe noem je? Tearing.
Tearing.
My eyes keep on,
Hulle traan.
Yes, en ja, een traan. Oké, ik Afrikaans ook praten hoor.
Yes.
Ja, nou kijk je naar mijn oren, nou, dan mijn spieren trek stijf, man. En ik kan lezen van die fine print, ik moet die koerant ook bij mijn oor brengen. En ik kan nog altijd die lezen. Nou, zo'n dokter, nou, ik weet niet wat te maken, nou meer niet, man. Dan kom ik bij die eye specialist, dan hadden we charge 400 rand. En dat ja, dan moet ik nog, net voor een eye test. Dus ik voel het niet kwaai niet, man. Dan zet je nog een glazen maat bij alle. En dan moet je betalen voor een glas ook nog, man. Alle kan moet je eye test laten doen, veel free of charge. En dan maak je die brillen bij alle. Verstaan, dokter?
Yeah.
Ek verstaan. Dankie.
Thanks,
dankie dat jy
Rodney.
gebel
Thanks,
het.
Rodney.
So
So
his
mentions-
eyes are red and they're tearing.
So,
and
yeah.
he's, yeah.
Yes, redness of the eye, yes, tearing of the eye. He also says that the eyes feel as if the muscles are going into spasm.
Yeah.
And, you know, a painful red eye is a condition that every medical student needs to know about
Sure.
because there are many causes.
Yeah.
Then one of the emergency causes is glaucoma that we're speaking about today, but there are many other causes that give you the same thing. What Rodney definitely needs to do is have his eyes examined. It could be related to environmental things. It could be an eye infection. It could be related to allergies and you know, as I mentioned earlier on as well, the different things that lead to a painful red eye. If you mentioned cost being an issue, obviously there are state clinics. If you don't have a medical aid and you can't afford it, in our government clinics, it's worth your GP even just sending you a referral and getting you booked into those clinics because some of the tests are expensive. And should the treatment be required for a complicated condition like glaucoma, for example, the drops are very expensive. Ask anyone that has glaucoma out there. So I'd suggest he gets referred directly to a state clinic, ophthalmological clinic. And we've got plenty of those, obviously, at the bigger hospital centres. So they refer you from your day hospital to that centre. And then you'd obviously take it from there.
So now we heard from Rodney about the symptoms that he's experiencing.
yes.
What are some of the other symptoms of glaucoma?
Great. So you often have an onset. So depending on which type, you get two main types. The one is closed angle, where that angle is closed for the drainage to reach the shower drain to get rid of the fluid. And you get open angle, where the angle's actually open, but the mesh is blocked with something else. Or, you know, just the circulation, there's too much being produced to keep up with the rate of drainage. Okay, so one, that would be then the more chronic form of glaucoma. So approach to the two different treatments is different. You get medical treatment in the form of drops that look specifically at decreasing the production of that aqueous humor, like a group of drugs called the beta blockers and things like timolol. You also get things that affect the muscles of the pupil that cause it to constrict and not dilate. If you dilate the pupil, it actually closes that angle even more.
Okay.
So people that have the problem shouldn't go and lay in a dark room or put a patch on their eye.
Oh,
because it
because
causes
your
the
eye
pupils
then
to dilate and then
expands.
it makes it worse.
Wow.
So they'll be, but the first step obviously is definitely understanding that you need to have it diagnosed, and that means a decent examination. So the symptoms you'll experience might be blurry vision, as well, or progressive loss of vision, or sudden loss of vision, depending on which type of glaucoma you have. Along with that, obviously, you could have things like pain and redness of the eye. Sometimes the eye is described as feeling very hard, almost like a golf ball, because of the pressure building up in it, you know, because it's a hollow structure, the eye, with the fluid inside. So when you actually feel it, it feels very hard. And then you could have, along with that, obviously, a redness of the eye, swelling of the eye, headaches and vomiting as part of that, the secondary nerve effect of the swelling. It induces vomiting. So, when you have generally systemically unwell with blurred vision and a painful red eye, it needs to be examined, definitely.
Wow, really eye-opening stuff there with Dr. Darren Green speaking about glaucoma during this World Glaucoma Week. We're going to keep those lines open. We would love to get your calls with your questions. That number for you to dial is 0214309881. We're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Welcome welcome back to your Feel Good Breakfast Show. It's Expresso right here on SABC3. Of course, now in anticipation of World Glaucoma Week, we're chatting about glaucoma, we're talking about the risks, we're talking about the symptoms. If you do have a question or comment for Dr. Darren Green, please do give us a call on 021-430-9881. This has been very, very helpful in terms of us understanding the risks, who is at risk, the symptoms. But what I want to know is there a cure for it?
Certainly. So also depending once again on which type you have, the closed angle or the open angle, there are definitely cures. I mean, if you think about some people get away with just using the medical drops that work on that space, relaxing the muscle. Yeah. Others decrease the production of fluid and then that balances out, that the rate at which it's draining is okay. But if it doesn't and you can't unblock that drain, you often need two types of surgery that are options. The first one is a laser surgery called a laser iridotomy. They put basically a small, they drill 2 holes on the side of the iris that you can't even see with the naked eye.
Wow.
The other one is a surgical one where they actually cut a triangle into the corner of the iris called that's a surgical iridectomy.
Oh, wow.
And that you can actually see if you look at someone that's had it, a little triangle, black triangle, just in the corner of the iris. Okay. And you'll be able to see it then. But that then enables the fluid to escape.
Okay.
It's an emergency that it doesn't need to follow the normal pathway, obviously.
Relieves the pressure, just kind of lets the
relieves the
system
pressure,
work.
and then you have decreased pressure relayed all the way back to that optic nerve at the back of the eye that I've mentioned. So.
All right. Let's go on to social media, where we've had some questions over there. From Inam Thompson, it's been years now. How do you know if you're getting glaucoma? Because my eyes swell a lot, so how do I know it's a glaucoma? Let's take that first one.
Yeah, so I think if your eyes swell, where are they swelling? Is the eyelid that's swelling? The upper eyelid, the lower eyelid, which is more related to soft tissue inflammation, things like rubbing your eyes, things like allergies and hay fever, obviously, as well, or just that infection that can even occur with the hair follicles that line the eyelid. Compared to glaucoma, which is a problem inside the eyeball, which we call the globe of the eye. Yeah. You know, the white eyeball. And inside that's where the pressure is building up, obviously, and relaying onto the optic nerve. So that's the difference. Swelling around the eye, or the eye itself that feels heavy and hard from pressure within that's building up.
Okay, we've got another one from Tsepo who says, my younger brother's eyes are always brown or reddish. Is that a sign of glaucoma? He's only 5 years old, and that worries us.
So red eyes that are not complicated in children often are related to either allergies, once again, dust allergies, environment allergies, flowers, pollen, etc., or from someone rubbing their eyes quite often. If you rub your eyes a lot, you'll see that the blood vessels then flare up and you start having a lot of red eye. And then obviously if you strain a lot and do lots of work, concentrating and straining where you're focusing, the eyes work really, really hard at that. Can also make a massive difference. And then trauma, any bumps to the eye, also increase blood supply to that area. Often people wake up with a bleeding spot on the white of the eye and then they freak out completely. That's called a subconjunctival hemorrhage. Calm down. It's often just a result of related to high blood pressure. Doesn't mean you're going to go blind. There's a small blood vessels on the surface of the white of your eye that can basically hemorrhage or bleed out. You can have it if your vision is affected, then you have it checked out, and that's often something that's self-regulating.
All right, so we're going to take a quick break from our conversation. We'll be back again with Dr. Darren Green to see what more we can understand about this glaucoma condition. We're going to keep our lines open, 021-430-9881. We're back again on the hot seat. Dr. Darren Green ready to take your questions regarding glaucoma. That's our main focus on this Tuesday morning. 021-430-9881. Give us a call. Just like Rosilio on the line right now. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Very well. Thank you so much for calling in. What's your question?
Okay, my question is, my mom, she has a glaucoma. But we did manage to take it out, the glaucoma. Now the problem is the pressure. Yes. So I don't know if we can, there's something we can take it out, that pressure. There's a cure. to take it out, that pressure.
Thanks so much, Rosilio, for that. And I guess this also leads to one of our questions of how do you help someone suffering from glaucoma to have a better life experience?
Yes, of course. So, firstly, what's important for people to know is not everyone that has glaucoma goes blind. So, glaucoma is a manageable condition if you diagnose it early and put people on treatment early and have regular follow-ups. You don't have to go blind.
Yeah.
There are a very small amount for which obviously nothing can be done in terms of medical treatment, where then you'd progress to those surgical options I've already mentioned. For this case, she describes waiting for possibly the surgical option. What can they do now? The pressure's up, there's still symptoms, etc. I think what's important is to tell the doctor that's managing you that it's not working or you're not doing well at the moment. They can look at your medication, look at the dosing of your medication, because the drops that you use, from decreasing the production of the aqueous humor with your timolol and your beta blockers, all the way through to acetylazimide and things like mannitol, which is a diuretic that you can inject in the veins to decrease pressure and production. All those options can be considered, as well as steroid drops. There's a certain sequence, and there can't be coexisting conditions when they use the steroid drops, for example, etc. So all that needs to be well coordinated by the treating ophthalmologist in this case. And that's where I'd suggest they firstly have to give feedback saying the pressure's not going down with the current treatment, the vision might still be the same. Do I need a regular follow-up? How quickly do I need to come in again and have it reviewed? Because then they can measure the pressure. For those that are interested in the stats, 10 to 20 millimeters of mercury is normal intraocular pressure. So when someone has glaucoma, often the pressures are like 45 and 50 and even higher in terms of that.
Can we quickly ask the question?
Yes.
Is it possible to prevent it completely?
Well, genetically, there's a link. So if your grandparents and your direct parents have had it, it increases your likelihood, because often the shape of the eye is also associated with that and the drainage system. Remember that. Trauma. How can you say prevent trauma? It's very difficult. Trauma is important. And then the natural process sometimes associated with are things like diabetes. Treat your diabetes well because of the link between diabetes as well and many other eye conditions. Obviously then your aging process, I'm afraid there's nothing you can do about that one.
All right, so much to learn, and we look forward to doing it every single Tuesday with you, Dr. Darren Green. Thank you so much also to our callers who engaged with us. And of course, you can also follow Dr. Darren Green at Dr. Darren Green on social media. He's always ready to engage with you. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back...
Sasha Lee Davids is going to perform for you on your Feel Good Breakfast Show, and we're also going to play a little bit of a game with Alistair Isabel and Sasha Lee Davids. We'll be right back after the break.